Commissioner.
Three-time NBA World Champion, Chicago Bulls. Congratulations. It's a great accomplishment.
After winning the championship in 1993, the Chicago Bulls made their first three-peat, and it seemed like the team finally made it to the top of the mountain. Michael Jordan was considered at the time one of the greatest players ever, and Phil Jackson established himself as one of the best coaches in the league. But the good times did not last forever. In the summer of 1993, Michael Jordan's father, James Jordan, went missing. Family and friends tried to call James for his whereabouts, but no one was able to get an answer. But on July 23, 1993, his body was found in a swamp in South Carolina. It was revealed that James was coming home from a funeral, and he decided to pull over and sleep in his car overnight. That is when two armed men tried to rob him, but one of them ended up shooting him in the chest, killing him instantly. The Jordan family was devastated by this tragedy, including his son Michael. At this time, Michael considered leaving basketball and pursuing baseball. This was something he discussed with his dad before he passed away. So on October 6, 1993, Michael Jordan held a press conference to announce his retirement from the NBA. This sent the world in shock as a three-time champion was walking away from the game and going into his baseball career. The Bulls now had to start the 1993 season without their top player. In 1993, the Bulls started their regular season. Surprisingly, Chicago did very well. With new players like Tony Kukoc and Steve Kerr, the Bulls had a 55-27 record. Scottie Pippen had one of his best seasons yet, finishing third in MVP voting. The Bulls went on to have a deep playoff run and played against the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. In this series, the two teams went all the way to 7 games, but the Bulls fell short and they were eliminated from the playoffs. What's even worse was that Jordan watched the series while he was playing baseball for the Birmingham Barons, and he could only imagine what would happen if he played with them in that series. In the 1994 season, the Bulls started to see struggles. It was clear that they did not have an identity as a team. With new players like Ron Harper and Jud Butler, it was hard for Chicago to make adjustments as a team. But the time as a struggling team will be short-lived, as Michael Jordan was eyeing a comeback to the NBA. In 1995, the MLB went on strike, and Jordan feared that he might become a replacement player. He realized that he missed playing basketball, and it was his true calling. So on March 18, 1995, Michael Jordan shocked the world with only 2 words: "I'm back." The next day, Jordan took the court to face the Indiana Pacers. Although Jordan was rusty, he managed to score 19 points. But he was slowly getting back to his true form, even scoring 55 points against the New York Knicks, also known as the double nickel game. The Bulls made the playoffs where they faced a young and talented Orlando Magic team in the Eastern Conference Finals. Orlando had a young Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal, and former Bull Horace Grant. Horace Grant was a key piece to the Bulls' first three-peat, but due to contract issues, he was released from the Bulls. In this series, the Magic won the first game of the series. Nick Anderson made a crucial steal on Michael Jordan, giving the Orlando Magic the win. After the game, Anderson made a direct shot towards Jordan, stating number 45 doesn't explode like 23 used to. After that, Jordan decided to switch back to 23 before Game 2. Chicago won Game 2 and both teams split the next 2 games, but that wasn't enough as Orlando won the next 2 games and went on to the Eastern Conference Finals. It was evident that the Bulls were not the three-peat team they once were, and they had to make adjustments before next season. During the offseason, Jordan spent time getting his body back in basketball shape. He often ran games with younger players to get back used to the game's speed. On the other hand, Chicago's front office was on the hunt to add another star to the team, another star who had intensity like Jordan and Pippen. One of the people they were eyeing was Dennis Rodman, one of the most controversial players at the time. Dennis Rodman had a history with the Bulls. He was on the Bad Boy Pistons earlier in his career, and he was traded to the Spurs after that. And Chicago was very skeptical about getting Rodman only because of the recent antics on and off the court. However, head coach Phil Jackson stepped in and said he can control Dennis and that they needed him on the team. So on October 3rd, 1995, Chicago traded for Dennis Rodman. The Bulls were now going into the 1995 season with a chip on their shoulder, trying to prove that they were once again the greatest team in basketball. And during the season, they dominated. They ended the season 72-10 and became the greatest team in NBA history. In the playoffs, they rematched the Orlando Magic, who beat them in the previous year. The entire Bulls team was determined to make a statement in this playoff series. They would give the Orlando Magic a beatdown and sweep them 4-0. Chicago was going back to the finals for the 4th time. They faced the duo of Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp of the Seattle Supersonics. The Bulls started the series winning the first 3 games, but the Supersonics came back and won 2 games in a row to prevent a sweep. But in Game 6, this became one of the most meaningful games, especially for Michael Jordan. It was the first time he was going to be playing in the finals without his father watching. The Bulls rallied together and won the game, sealing their 4th NBA championship. Jordan went to the locker room and became overwhelmed with emotion, creating one of the best moments in NBA history. In 1996, the Bulls picked up right where they left off and dominated the regular season. Chicago finished with a record of 69-13. They made their way back to the NBA Finals once again and faced the Utah Jazz. The Jazz had a duo of John Stockton and Karl Malone, and the Bulls were ready for the challenge. In Game 1, both teams went toe-to-toe and it came down to the wire. With seconds left in the game, Michael Jordan hit the game-winning shot. The Bulls won the next game before Utah took games 3 and 4. But before Game 5, Michael Jordan had flu-like symptoms heading into the game. On the night before Game 6, a pizza was delivered to the hotel. Jordan ate the pizza but ended up sick afterwards. However, Jordan still decided to play and dropped 38 points, leading the Bulls to a 90-88 victory. Chicago went back to the United Center for Game 6, and this game came down to the wire once again. With time running out in the fourth, Steve Kerr knocked down a mid-range jumper to seal the deal against the Jazz. The Bulls went on to win their 5th title and was on their way to making a second three-peat. Before the 1998 season, General Manager Jerry Krause made a move that changed the Bulls franchise forever. He stated that Phil Jackson would no longer be head coach after this season. This was bad because Michael Jordan stated that he will only play for Phil Jackson. This season was their last season together and it would be dubbed as their last dance. But that was not the only problem. Scottie Pippen was sitting out because he was seeking a new contract, even to a point where he requested a trade. The Bulls started the season shorthanded and they started 9-7. But things quickly started to pick up and the Bulls went on to win 15 of their next 19 games. When Pippen came back, the Bulls were in full swing. They ended the season 62-20 and was looking to make their 6th finals appearance. But one team stood in the way, and it was the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers had one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference at the time. Led by former player and now head coach Larry Bird, the Pacers had players like Jalen Rose, Reggie Miller, and Rick Smits. The two faced off in the Eastern Conference Finals. Chicago won their first 2 games and the Pacers won the next 2. Chicago took Game 5 before going back to Indy for Game 6. This game came down to the wire after a Reggie Miller 3-point shot. The Bulls were down 3 and they had to tie it up. Jordan had the chance to shoot the ball, but it rimmed out and the Bulls had to go to Game 7. In Game 7, both teams went back and forth, but a late run by the Bulls helped them beat the Pacers. And the Bulls were on the way to the finals where they rematched the Utah Jazz. In this series, the Jazz won the first game in overtime. The Bulls went on to win the next 3 games, including a blowout in Game 3. The Jazz won Game 5 and the two teams faced off in Game 6. This game was very close, and with less than a minute to go, Jordan ripped Malone and took the ball off the court. Jordan then crossed over Byron Russell and hit the game-winning mid-range jumper. And Chicago made their second three-peat, but this will be their final run as a team. After the championship, Krause already begun cleaning house. Phil Jackson was fired and Michael Jordan went into retirement. Scottie Pippen eventually got what he asked for and was traded to the Houston Rockets. Dennis Rodman was released from the Bulls and sent into free agency. Other role players like Steve Kerr and Luke Longley were also traded away, with Kerr going to the Spurs and Longley going to the Suns. Krause started his rebuild during the 1998 season, but he found little to no success and failed to make the playoffs in the next 5 seasons. He eventually resigned in 2003. This dynasty was one for the ages, doing things that no other team has ever done before, three-peating twice and dominating the entire 90s era. But that'll be the end of this video. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.